Thompson, and are you in for a treat tonight? I want y'all to sit back and relax and enjoy the spoken word from Guerilla Poets. So I'm going to get out of the way so I can let our poets have the stage.
My sister, I can hear you breathing. The calling of your tomorrow's moon relies on your smile. We know the trouble you've gone. The very bubble by which you've been judged, see, we know you're hurt. We understand how your healing depends on the mixing of tomorrow's overcast. I can feel the rain. I feel it reminding you of the chastisement due to forbidden emotions because you are not supposed to feel, right? Like we forgot to replace the word chick with warrior, girl with queen or origin, shorty with goddess. It's no wonder we call you Ma. Your daily birthing is as miraculous as your skin tone, and the fact that it matches our creator's likening and tickles his taste buds in the same instant, my sister, is divine, as you are divine. Even in your questioning, we love the raspy sounding that matches your tone's rhythm. Those high-pitched chuckles that makes our sun shine. You complete us. Like a calf muscle enhanced by a stiletto, you are the reason they made sundresses. You are the real Thanksgiving. The answer to my sweet tooth, you are the energy surrounding my alignment. It was you whom they thought of when they created memory foam. You are the idea behind comfortable bedding, perfect drapings, and spreadsheets. We remember your number. And the only reason it came after the number one is because God knew better. He understood your medicine. He knew you couldn't control your sedative. You are narcotizing, the stimulant to our golden touch. You are prescription, remedy, tonic. You are the opiate. You are magnificent. And you, my sister, are worthy of your great crowning.
I was in a daze. I was a symbol of black power. I was being studied like an ancient African artifact by melanin-deprived eyes when they asked me, what does this fist symbolize? I said resistance. And with the grin of one about to drop knowledge, I pounded their suburban minds with quotes from Garvey, Malcolm, and Martin, causing uproars of fictional applauses, planting black-only secrets and sprouting looks of confusion as I proceeded to clarify my stance on the issue of white privilege, hoping that I would at least strike their interest, hoping that they would at least find it offensive so I can offer my well-scripted rebuttal. It's not that we hate you, we just hate your ancestors. And yes, it felt good talking to their backsides as they rolled their icy blue eyes and walked away. See, I accomplished something. I educated the white man on his generational superiority, the faults of his ancestors, the crimson's color stain he could never wash from his pasty white presence. The guilt alone would provoke him to join in marches, holding picket signs damaging his white counterparts. He would plead for acceptance into a group based on self-discovery, a group that would only accept him if he hated what he came from. You see, that's what we're all about, causing division in order to unify, finding fault in the color, not the character, adopting new religions and forsaking old beliefs, you know, the ones they stole. That's what we're all about. Wishing Whitey would disagree with our struggle. Wishing a brother would jump jigaboo and say we ain't the victims. Say the system ain't against us. Say it ain't us against them. Yeah, so there I stood, holding up the symbol of unity for my black brothers and sisters who just so happened to find humor stitched inside the lining of my dashiki. Quite surprised, I found that my movie monologue only met wagging eyes and empty heads, and one brother that shouted out, "You're the problem." Nah, see, brother, it was the white folks that made us hate us. It was the white man that put the gun in your son's hand and told him, with this you can rule the world, but first you must murder your reflection. See, it was white folks that taught us that, and it was white folks that taught us this, and immediately I watched my strong black fist transform into a weak, pointing finger. I was the problem. I was no different than the so-called supremacists that resent color and religion, with an ignorant intent to cleanse this cesspool they call their nation, of Asians, Arabs, Muslims, sheiks. Sheets cover the faces of the field. Swastikas coddle the bottled up emotions of Nazi soldiers soaking in failure because hatred would never succeed. But was I too blind to notice the common coldness that causes me to hack black victimization? spewing mucus of mutual misunderstandings to those immune to their own illness. And that illness is ignorance. And if you're not careful, you'll catch it. And if you're not careful, you'll spread it. And if you're not careful, you'll skew the definition of injustice and why we ask, am I next when the police are present? If you're not careful, you'll mistake our marches for photo ops, taking pictures with riot cops, hashtagging it with inaccurate depictions of past events as if this was your duty to your community. If you're not careful, you'll become temporal in your movements. And hands up, don't shoot, or we'll remember it as a slogan on a t-shirt and not somebody's last words. If you're not careful, you will birth millions of ignorant militants, holding up black fists, throwing punches at the wind, with minds like battlefields and mouths like machine guns, riot-ready predecessors of prejudice, unaware of the ever-present pressure of oppression, often addressing the question of societal acceptance with bloodshed. And it's nothing for them to turn their musket on a soldier of equal or darker color and say he ain't woke if he addresses the type of violence we inflict on one another. If you're not careful, you too can become the problem. And your dashiki will be just another thing that makes them laugh.
Let me tell you what God looks like. You see, she looks like single mom with crying babies, hungry and sick. She looks like first there was 3, then 5, then 8. But let me show you what God looks like. You see, she looks like unbroken glass after man-made storms. She looks like shelter in Superdome. She looks like earth, like early morning prayers, Al-Fatiha. She looks like the beginning, like the opening. But let me show you what God looks like. She looks like precious casing made strong enough to house and protect treasures. She looks like human origin. She looks like life, like pathfinders in darkened forests. She looks like yard bird and flour and water mixtures, feeding the field hands and their babies. She looks like the only reason we made it through slavery. But let me tell you what God looks like. She looks like heaven, and not something you read in a good book, but more like belief. She looks like faith. She looks like hope, like crying eyes that witness sick baby's first smile. God looks like a 50th anniversary surprise. She looks like milestone ridings, like still I rise, still I rise. Let me tell you what God looks like. She looks like comforter, like warm knit sweaters. God looks like big city skylines. She looks like anybody can do it, but only God can do it better. Let me tell you what God looks like. See, she looks like hip hop jazz, like the fundamentals of living large. She looks like cash checks. She looks like woman. She looks like hurt weighing by the sextillion. God looks like spring mornings. She looks like masterpiece, but not for beauty's sake. See, a poet told me God is the epitome of beauty because God is something you cannot duplicate. So let me tell you what my God looks like. You see, she looks like baby mama. She looks like single child. She looks like stretch marks. She looks like swollen wound. She looks like dirty south. She looks like project hallways. She looks like reason, Rasta, savior, creator. She looks like freedom, solidarity. She looks like swollen ankle and hard work. She looks like bag lady. She looks like Sister Betty, Sister Coretta. She looks like Michelle Obama, the first lady. She looks like soul food. She looks like Deacon Fry's wife on Sunday morning. She looks like matrimony. In fact, God looks like Negro, please, pointing her finger at husbandman and child, giving them both the 3rd degree. She suffers from cancers and thyroid disease and find ways to scrub kitchen floors without bending her sore knees. But let me tell you what my God looks like. She looks like strength of the unseen. She is unstoppable, indescribable. She is Umi. She is queen. She is believer. She is sister. So my sister, tell me, what does God look like when you see her in the mirror?
Sure, there's a volcano in your sling, slung at an arc big enough to make the degree sing sign language to deaf angels. Wake the sky up so you can wake up before you grow gills and adapt to the pressure gauge you're being held in. Whatever that's towering over you with its gravel knuckles scraping your spine, crack your back up straight and heave your armor downward. You don't need it now. It will never be as courageous as the nerve endings of your own skin. You can take it. This, I promise. So split every stitched orifice, Orpheus. Your Odysseus' death is in every lover's eye, where the iris is the river that is running out of time. So you take her hand in the pulpil's pulpit and bring us all back to life. There aren't strings strong enough to hold the notes, so you break them till it snaps the vocal cords in your throat. Bring the stone to mortar mache knees. Use it to build a kingdom with no king. If you want to sling rocks at giants, make sure there is a volcano in your sling. When they ask you about the molten mornings, tell them it is where you wake and sleep. Tell them you've only known cold when it burns and your insides carry the temperature of 1,000 suns, the scale that everyone likes to mention but never touched. So touch them, tell them to touch you, get really close to your own hands, write about them, spread them, use them like antennas, like eyes, so you can find where the cold creeps in, and fill every foreclosed house with light to bring the angels home to roost. Rip off the roof of your fear. You don't need it now, not here. You've got all the answers to the questions you're afraid to ask, and how they tower like giants with their chains at half-mast. Put them to rest. Bleed verses so tight it can slice through golden calves. If they are a monument of hard cash, you gotta be the diamond in the rough that never washes the dirt from its cuts. If you want to sling rocks at giants, make sure there is a volcano in your sling. You sling fire, wake the sky up to sing. I pull up to the pump to get my 20 deadly sins, and I can hear the thumping of thumbs, rattling rims. There's a man diagonal to my vision, one of those leave the CD playing in the car without him in it, like he thinks it's a gift for everyone to listen. But you know what it sounds like, y'all? A chapel quivering. Till I open my car door, realize it's one of those hardcore rappers rapping. I exit while he's saying, yeah, 'cause I might die in this here business. Inside, the store is a hustle-bustle terminal filled with already too tired workers and contract men too bright-eyed for the tellers. And I get the crawling feeling like I really don't want to be here, like it's all a bit too overwhelming for the morning air. Grind my fingers into my palms, thinking about a cup of coffee waiting on me at work when I get there. I'm trying to find a spot to jump in to say I don't need a receipt. But the chatter is swinging like double dutch. The lady behind the counter is currently having 2 conversations at once about some electrical gloves, left the night before by a man to my left who's a bit too buck about the whole situation and how they are missing, and she ain't even had a chance to look. And outside, the chapel cracks its dome with gunshots. Inside, I'm fumbling to get out the door because I realized I seen that lady before. She was 1 year ago sore behind that counter with her gutter slang, saying, I can't wait to get out of this place. It was the one time out of 100 I seen a smile spread across her face, and the dead possum pucker of her lips, the dead roadkill cuddling her eyes this morning told me she didn't make it across the street in time. Something must have went wrong with the other job. On the way back to the car, the station is filled with slump soldier patrons, all thinking about a cup of coffee like it's a savior. My throat tightens, and I rub my eyes like I'm trying to wash the scene away. The chapel repeats the phrase, yeah, 'cause we might all die in this here business. At work, I choke on my coffee, 2 sips in when I realize the significance.
Cynthia Thompson, I hope you've enjoyed the spoken word by Shane. Now, Shane, your group, Guerilla Poets. They are here in the U.S. and the U.K. Didn't you say that earlier?
Yes.
And so what all do you do with your group besides spoken word?
Well, we started out doing flash mob poetry, where which is you do poetry in unexpected places. We've done it on the light rail. We've done it in Walmart, Best Buy, some places in Noda as well. But it kind of evolved from there, and we started getting into school systems, and we started getting into shelters, and we do a lot of work with at-risk youth. We're always down at Timeout Youth, and always in the communities around Charlotte, and Kannapolis and Concord, and even all the way out in Lincolnton. So we're all over. We do fundraising events to raise money for supplies for the homeless and art supplies for all sorts of organizations.
Do you do anything with the kids in the school system? I remember you saying you went there, but do you do anything with them?
We do. I'm actually tomorrow going to Lincoln Charter School for the 5th grade, and we're going to do a poetry workshop with the 5th graders there and share some poetry with them. It'll probably be the 5th or 6th time we've been there, so there are a bunch of great kids. And then we just volunteered at Center 360 in Charlotte next to Reed Park Academy too, and did some poetry with the students there, and they're good kids as well. So yeah.
So why do you do what you do?
We just feel like poetry, and not just poetry. There's some of our members aren't even poets; they're artists. They're some of them are both, and then we have a photographer. We have musicians. Anything really with the arts. We just feel like it's such a powerful way of communicating. It really touches people, and it helps them change their life. And once you experience that, it's almost like that's all you ever want to do with it, is just help people and uplift them through your talent. Like, I always feel like you're given this gift for a reason, and it has to be something selfless.
So one quick question: is this the first time you've ever been on TV?
I actually have been on TV a few times, but not for well, once was an interview. We did a candlelight visual for Keith in Charlotte, and we also did a protest too, and I was on TV for those, but it was very short, and there was a lot going on. So, but yeah.
Well, you're doing a fabulous job, and I'm going to get out of the way because I know you have so much more you want to share with us.
All right, I am staring out at cars. At the exact spot he lifted his sneakers off the solidity of the ground for the last time. And there is a black hole howling in my chest that spins with the rage of all things that are swept away in the current. They said all that was left of him was a tuft of red hair. My neighbor saw the odd parts, the red marks all mushed and skidded across the road. She said she thought someone must have hit a deer. She had no idea it was a boy of only 14 years old. His name was Derek John Thomason. I went to his high school when I was young, and he jumped right near my house. Newspapers read he had been bullied to death. I'm staring out at cars, and I'm tired of waiting for someone to stop. And there is a battle cry signaling war, roaring across everyone's windshield that sonics outward from the fist that pumps my God in me. When I was in school, I thought if I could make one big boom, I was sure I could make an impact, change minds, but we forget a span of 14 years. You young crew weren't there in the generation of Columbine. You didn't see the survivors, didn't get to sympathize with, yes, the shooters, didn't deal with a bomb threat every day for a year like I did. No one pushed the edges. There was a unity that happened in our school. How easily martyrs fade from our books, tarnish our golden rule. Parents, do you know how close your children are to the hand of death, how they cling to his robe with an arm around his leg? My own mother still doesn't know I came home every day and held a loaded gun to my head and waited for the coldness of the rim to creep in, awaken me, shake me loose from his grip. She did not see how blue my face had been when I was cut down from a bathroom door by a friend, swinging from a belt I had hung myself with. Already stopped breathing, already convulsing, my own leap sneakers involuntarily banging the door. It was the only thing that alerted the next room that something was wrong. And here I am, staring out at cars, wondering where all the other poets are, whose words ever held another's cries. I stopped caring so much about publications and credits ever since I was told my poetry stopped an elderly man from suicide. I am staring out at cars, and I am biting the words off and spitting them down the side of the Lane Street Bridge on 85 from my God in me to read back to myself. Now, when I think what is the point of this, I think of Derek. I think of him and have no problem with going at it alone because, by my God, if I would have known, I would have used this gift of words and I would have stopped. I would have risked my job that day to try to save that boy's life. When communication has been such a breeze for me, maybe it could have lifted him when he leapt and he could have flied. I am staring out over I-85, wondering why every bleeding heart is acting like a hypocrite when my God in my chest is burning all the bushels we used to hide the light with, when my heart is suffocating under the swift wind his sneakers left, while I am the only one here, when now is not the time for silence, nor to be an advocate to stillness, when my generation is getting high in back rooms on couches instead of out here with me uniting, why we would rather keep our heads down than out there fighting for those who are weaker and those whose feet are in the same sneakers. Lightning, like the 6-inch heel of a vindictive woman, stomps down from the swirl of her cloud-rim ruffle flamenco dress. I run for cover as she tosses her drink down the shirt of the earth. She's been in quite some mood for a month. Jolts for a jolted lover, or is it her sweat that falls? Is she dancing still, steel-toed, knocking power poles, electricity twirling through her fingers like an interpretation of a former lover called Zeus, if he had ever touched? Tornado finger down upon her muscled back they call Spain, whipped her upward in the sky. Flamenco she thunders, flamenco. Or is this battle fierce and elegant like passion in a glass, sweltering, fogging up my eyes? Sex and war cling to the skin still. whichever it is. Elevated iodes and dopamine, orchestra cymbals hot with heat. Flamenco she thunders, flamenco, and under her cry, I cannot sleep.
When you have been commissioned to explain facets of your existence with words, you may end up sounding preachy. It's true. We have been compelled to speak of the future as if it already happened, while staring the present in the face, not being able to make sense of what we see, so we write. Turning literary terms into tapestries, our skills confirm we have the ability to sew souls back together with prayers spoken on stages and venues that double as sanctuaries, even the ones with spirits in stained glass bottles. They may not always be holy, but they fill us just the same. I carry good news to the masses, no matter the script and text. When all is said and done, our decree is that poetry saves. Praises be, wave your hands, clap, snap, scream, for the word has gone out and will not return void. It will accomplish what it was sent out to do: educate, inspire, anger, confound, and even confuse. The word is the most powerful tool we have to create new worlds and the power to destroy old ones that no longer serve us well. We are the bringers of the gospel, messengers, griots, teachers, preachers, poets, speakers of love and light, liberty and truth. This isn't a hobby, it is a calling, so why run from it? Yes, it's heavy at times, but we are the voice of the people. We are necessary in a world full of the unnecessary. We change how people see life, one word at a time. We make poems cry when our eyes stopped a long time ago. We invigorate the lost with hope, killing hate and lending an escape. If the people are sick, then we provide the cure. We are as skilled as surgeons with these pens. A well-placed line closes open wounds, ties up loose ends. Words do heal if you let them. Messages minister to the broken. First us, then the people we speak to. Be open to receive this soul food, the kind that sticks to your bones, makes you feel whole. Not everyone has this gift, but we should do our best to give what we have away. If we have the answer to what's ailing humanity, then I don't take it lightly. I'll anoint the people assigned to me. And if you can't see how poets are preachers, then you haven't been to church in a while. So I invite you to this altar, accept the oil of forgiveness, and share in this holy communion. Amen and Ashe.
I know that you're a part of Guerilla Poets. Do you have a special name whenever you're announced to do your poetry?
Yeah, my Guerilla Poet name would be Nightwing, actually.
And where did they get that from?
Nightwing is actually a comic book character, so he was a sidekick of Batman. He was the original Robin, and then he grew up, decided to leave Batman and do his own thing. So it essentially represents that, you learn from your mentors, but you don't have to follow exactly in their footsteps. You go on, do your own thing, and become your own person.
Oh, I see. So tell me, how do you come up with your poetry?
Well, I started off, basically I'm a rapper and a poet, so I do music, but also do the poetry as well. So it just comes from just different experiences from being part of the poetry world and listening to rap a lot. So I just have mine's a lot more rhythmic, a lot of different rhyming. So a lot of rhyme schemes I get from the rap world. But and other than that, I just pull from different things going on in my life and just put it on paper.
So do you have one more for us?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll get out of the way so you can give it to us.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I started having visions, tripping about future conditions, the way I'm living, maybe skidding, heading for collision. Cards missing, I ask for others, they tell me go fishing, wishing for that hand to distance my plans from competition. But I collide and slide under like they had my number, but these back roads home lead to area codes unknown. My false belief, I live more happily in apathy where nothing's satisfactory, thinking with less hope but much more practically. The shoe fit, I bought a matching hat, carried matches that burned bridges black, me against the world, but I attack. Attempting to fortify like shoot, we all born to die physically. I'm out soul searching but pitifully catch misery. Cause I want it all instead of letting go of those desires, trying to run through walls, not believing I can fly higher and be ballin'. Got a job to do, but I call in sick, like this is life and I'm disturbed with it. Forget it, I can't write no more, something ain't right no more. It's like my mind is so bored, ideas are so poor, trying to explore, but what for? Banging on a locked door, critiquing everyone else's goods, but got nothing to export. I tried to be the best sport, but ran into the next cork, trying to clog my flow, possibly stop my go. Not yet green right, the street light's still yellow. It's a tight squeeze I might need to stay as loose as jello. Avoid the collision, attach a hook, hit lakes and keep fishing. Heart's frostbitten, cause the frostbite, I lost sight of my mission. But I tried, cared, tire got flat and I used a spare. But despite all distance I had covered, I had gone nowhere. It's too cloudy, no fun. Apollo, bring back the sun. I wanna have a picnic with no rain or hail to get lifted. And I would feed you a clear cut of the feeling in my mind, but these abstract thoughts seem to be all I can find. I'm just blowing steam, lost in this stream of consciousness. A lot on my mind, but I seem thoughtless. Been disturbed for years, struggling to switch gears, trying to steal that treasure like some broke buccaneers. I just can't tell. I'm trapped in a shell, made a witch mad as hell. She casted a spell and had a black cat cross my path as well. I'm not saved yet, buried, ringing a cracked bell. It's tough, no fair way, every course is rough to the grass that's green, but this is no golf scene. The feeling is dominant, leaves a taste like a condiment. If only I can let go desires to be prominent and focus on simple success, I can compress expectations I put on my chest. I can't bench press. Enough with the rhyming, my spirit is dying, but I'm trying to take that mental trip to Zion and go soul searching.
I am denouncing the white race and going back to my roots, the 50% of my heritage. So I'll take your slander term and use it to my advantage. From this day forth, call me a savage, ruthless as the feared Comanche, merciless in the eyes of those that have never known struggle. So I'll take your firstborn as an offering to true culture, because all you've ever been is a tourist. Evident in your mindset, scalp the white wall of your mind, metaphorical surgeon. See, it's no secret. There's the white race that feels entitled, so they murder and mistake real knowledge. Now we're all slaves in the states to the slaughter. Found a way to make invisible chains, because guess what? Money knows no color. We are bought and sold every day. And even though we were here before the white man came, even though immigrants paved the way, it's clear as day. America is no place and will not tolerate those who spread wisdom, because what's being worshipped and fiercely protected here is ignorance. Y'all ain't listening. Slavery was never abolished. It just looks different. Had the audacity to call it a melting pot when it's stirred with indifference. And we even got the poor community defending this system, because it makes a southern white man without a penny to his name even feel privileged. I said it makes a southern white man without a penny to his name feel privileged. There's 100 different things messed up about that sentence. See, in his eyes, he'll stay a slave to his rich master, because surely they own the same side since their skin's similar. I'm sorry, since their sin's similar. Y'all ain't listening. Blind is the sheep and the shepherd is ignorance. So I'm herding buffalo and calling on some ancestral spirits. Pull the Cheyenne Indian in my marrow up to the surface and send some smoke signals. Paint my face with the color of all tribes and write my words like the sacred dog rides for freedom to bring truth to all minds.